Hello, everyone. Welcome back. My name is Jeff Mendelson, and this is the One Big Tip podcast. With me today is Edwin Carrion, a self made entrepreneur whose passion is sharing the skills he learned with others to reach their goals. After leaving the U.S. Marines, Edwin began working in real estate development, where he focused on growing his network and his negotiation strategies. This skill allowed him to establish several multi-million dollar businesses. Now he works with others who are looking to find success in the real estate development space as a coach and a mentor. And today he's going to share some of those same strategies and skills he uses with his consulting clients. So it's going to be a great conversation today. Found out that he's right down the street from me in Miami, where I'm up in Fort Lauderdale. Edwin, thank you so much for joining me and welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone listening out there. Thank you for having me here, and let's get ready to learn some amazing content.
So I was admiring your background, the achievements that you have accumulated. You have a great story, you know, um, building up all of these businesses, also experience with within the U.S. military, which has really helped prepared you for, a lot of the success that you've achieved. Can you please tell us a little bit about your background and what makes you so amazing?
The background, what makes me amazing, I think, is my relationship with God. Knowing that I have a great relationship with God, my faith is number one in my life, and that's what makes me amazing. Through that, I call myself a God-made millionaire, and He has put me in situations that I thought I never wanted to be in. And they're the same. Don't ask for what you don't wish, or be careful what you ask or what you wish for. And in life, it has happened to me because before, when I was younger, and I'll tell you a quick story right now. When I was in the Marine Corps, I didn't want to be a truck driver. And I said, I don't want to be a truck driver. And 20 years later, I own a multi-million dollar transportation company. So it's always be careful what you wish for, because the things that you say you don't want to do, there's a purpose behind what you're going to learn at a young age, because you might end up using that knowledge for something in the future.
That's really funny that you say that because, one thing is to actually drive the trucks, and another thing is to actually own 20 of them and have other people, push them around for you. And that mindset is really the difference between, a job and a business, right? Talk to me a little bit about how you figured like when it first dawned on you, that difference, like that particular part of, like, I don't just want to do a job. I really wanted to have a business where I am making money no matter what, whether I am present in it or not.
That part dawned on me in 2000. I can tell you exact date. It was in 2014. I had my own businesses for many years, but in 2014, my jewelry company was starting to go downhill, and I needed to sell my company. And we didn't have a lot of cash flow coming in at that time. And I told my wife was that, you know, I don't want to go work for anybody. I'd rather make $1 a day and work for myself than having to work for somebody and tell me what I'm worth. And I knew I could get a good job and a good pay, but that moment I told my wife, like, no, I don't want to work for anybody. I want to continue being an entrepreneur. And the life of an entrepreneur is a roller coaster. You're always going to have ups and downs. But to me, I love that adrenaline of having the ups, having the downs, having those hard times, but knowing that in the end, I'm going to fulfill my dream and accomplish my dream.
That's amazing, man. So tell me, how do you see entrepreneurship today in a post-COVID world? So take that jewelry store, for example, right? If you would have had that jewelry store back in March 2020, you would have been in a world of hurt, right? You would have been, and I'm sure some of your businesses, did take, like a somewhat of a hit. Everyone did what they needed to do in order to get through that. Talk to me a little bit about your views about the state of entrepreneurship, and our economy in general, just to see how, like people can be leveraging, like like the different forces that are coming our way. We're going into high inflationary period right now. We're going into a very tight job market, a very tight housing market, and these are things that a lot of people, at least in this country, are not used to. How do you see it?
To me, I see it as a huge opportunity of what's going on right now. Number one is because I lived through the 2007 market crash, the real estate bubble. That taught me a huge lesson. And the lesson that taught me is that make sure that every business that I start or every business that I create is recession proof. And I think the most important thing nowadays that we are heading into a huge recession, that times are tough, that everything is so expensive, is making sure that you run your business as lean, that you're not over leveraged. And that was my biggest mistake back in 2007, that I wanted to grow this huge multi-million dollar company, that I was extremely over leveraged. Then when the tough times came, I was not able to sustain that business because I was extremely over leveraged and my income did not support my outflow. So we have to become recession proof. And every business could be recession proof. Even a jewelry business could be recession proof if you have to think of, what happens if we go into COVID again? How am I going to able to sustain my business? Am I ready to be an online business? Because when we're COVID, nobody was going out, right? So if we're ready to have our business online, then we could survive through those tough times. If if you know that people are not going to buy your product when we enter into the recession, then we got to figure out, what is it that, what parallel can we extend to our business that we could continue providing the same value to the clients that we already have once we enter that recession. Are we able to sustain our business 9 months with a 50% income? So those are the things that you look at. You have to be recession proof. And also, is my business the type of business that is a need during a recession, or is it the type of business that is a want? Because the first things that go away during a recession are the wants versus the needs.
It's really interesting that you bring that up. One facet that I want to that I wanted to touch on. One of the interesting thing is
Yeah.
especially with gas prices, right? Like when gas goes up, like 50%, 50 cents a gallon over here, right? Basically, what's happening is that for most people, filling up a 13-gallon car, it's like a $3 to $7 difference, right?
Yes.
Unless you have this, massive SUV or whatever, right? Or you're doing a lot of driving. What happens is that, a lot of people become, acutely aware of some of these different phases or challenges that push their way into your personal economy, but
Right.
they're not necessarily in the right mindset to be able to tackle it. Because when you're an employee, like you said, someone else is putting a cap on your worth, right? So
Yes.
you're getting your $70,000 a year and that's it. So yes, when prices all around you start rising but your salary doesn't, that's a problem, right? But as an entrepreneur, you have the power and the imperative to change that, right?
Yes.
And to get over that hump so that you can, so, so that you can absorb, like some of those losses and, be able to push on. So I really like what you said about, the needs and the wants, because what happens is that you really do have to focus on, sell what people are buying, right? And that's probably one of the more important things out there. I want to switch gears because one of the things you that you're known for is being a coach and a mentor, for a lot of businesses out there, right? And one of the things that you talk about is really, like helping people, like figure out the goals. And this isn't just a mindset exercise, right? It's more of a nuts and bolts as well. Talk to me a little bit about how you coach your clients into helping them achieve the mindset and the practical application of their businesses as well in order to overcome all of that. How does
Yeah.
that look to you?
Yeah. So one of my biggest things that I like to do is teach people how to live life to the fullest. My mission is to make sure that everybody learns and understands to live life to the fullest, to have the greatest life. So when you're laying down in your deathbed, you're able to look back and say, what an amazing life did I have? Instead of, I should have done this, I could have done that. And what happens is with a lot of entrepreneurs nowadays, they don't understand. They're so focused into building these businesses, they're so focused into the success of their business that they forget about everything else in their life that is important to them, such as family, friendships, themselves, their health. So once you start realizing that being successful is not all about the money, it's not all about what can you take your business to. It's about that if I am content, if I am happy with myself, if I'm living my dream life, then everything else will come to fulfill, such as having all the abundance of the money that you want in your life, having the financial freedom, and having a beautiful relationship if you're married or if you have a girlfriend or a boyfriend or a significant other, having that relationship that is meaningful, so you have a balanced life and you're living life to the fullest. So that's what I like to teach to people.
So the mindset part is only part of the equation, right? You actually have
Yes.
to believe that you can achieve this stuff, right?
Yes.
And what's interesting about your story, and you mentioned this, that you're a God made millionaire, right?
Yes,
And
my
certainly, like faith is definitely, helpful here. But there also, there's a story about, the guy that's on the roof and everything else around him is flooded. And he doesn't want to get off the roof when they send a rescue helicopter to go get him. Why? Because he's like, no, God's going to save me, right?
yes.
And then he sends another helicopter. No, God's going to save me. Another third helicopter. No, finally, like he gets to heaven and he's like, well, why? What happened? And he's like, well, I was waiting for you to save me. He's like, I sent you three helicopters. I sent you stuff in order to do it, right? So,
Yes.
a lot of that is the practical application. Like, how do you implement that, right?
Right.
And implementing that, comes down to, could be as simple as treating your employees right, making sure you're capitalized in order to produce the product that you intend on selling. What are some of the, more practical aspects of helping people, increase their business, not so much through the mindset, but more through the more tactical aspects of getting through it and, making more abundance for yourself?
Right. So number one, I like to start with faith. You said faith. To me, faith is number one, is the priority. You have to have faith. And again, you don't have to be a believer of God if you don't want to, which I would love for everybody to be a believer of God. But, faith in yourself, because if you don't believe in yourself, that's as far as you're going to go. And if having a faith on what you're doing that is significant and you're creating value for a lot of people. Once you have that faith and you know that, then you create the value for the people and making sure that you're creating the value for whoever you're serving. And that's what I'm talking about. In any business, you have to understand, like in my transportation company, to me and my drivers and everybody in my team understand that even though truckers are not seen as somebody good in the industry, they're providing a value because without them, you will never have food in your refrigerator. You will never have, your furniture delivered to you because transportation is such a need that there is a lot of value in there. So understanding that there's value in them and making your clients understand that what you're doing for them, it's creating value for them and is a service that they want instead of and the service that they need instead of something that they just want at the moment. And that is very important for them because it's fulfilling something within them. At the same time, once you create the value, the customer will pay whatever they want you to pay because now you created the value for them.
That's really interesting that you brought that up. The value, right? In that, if you deliver enough value that outweighs the cost of what someone is paying for it, like
Yes.
you can really write your own ticket, right? And what happens in that case is you need to find, you need to make your, the value stack, all of the products and services that you're providing need to outweigh, whatever it is you're charging, and you need to be able to deliver on that. Talk to me a little bit about, let's talk about a success story, of someone that you've helped, that, maybe was not operating at their full potential. And what did you do in order to help them realize that there was so much more that they can do and achieve more?
A success story about one of my, I'll share two success stories. One of them is a young kid. He was 19 years old at that time. I mentor him in real estate, and he was working at that time for an oil company, Mercedes Benz, doing oil changes. He was making like about $10, $12 an hour, and just helping him switch the mindset, knowing that having faith in himself, having faith in God was amazing, and also creating that value and building those relationships with people has gotten him now 8 years later to running a successful brokerage company, owning a restaurant, and doing over 9 figures a year. That's one of them. The other one that I have that I'm very proud is that my business partner Jason, I mentor him in real estate um, about 9 years ago. And when I mentored him in real estate, he tried the real estate and he realized that real estate wasn't for him because real estate is not for everybody, right? So once he realized real estate wasn't for him, he realized with the things that I taught him, with the mindset that I taught him, he left his job that he was in it for almost 12, 13 years as a police officer in NYPD and started becoming a successful Forex trader. And then many years down the road, with the tools that I taught him to build a relationship, we built a very good relationship that 6 years after my mentorship ended with him, we continued that relationship and we started a business together. And now we run a successful private investment fund in the Forex market.
Amazing. Forex is definitely something where you really got to have a strong stomach, and you
Yeah.
really got to have a lot of faith that the currency is going to go one way or the other in order to make a profit, because you could get wiped. It's one of the purest forms of trading, right?
Yes.
Of just trying to figure out what's going on. It's not like it's not like trading GameStop, where you have all these invisible forces that are out there, also influencing the market.
Yes.
Forex is there, and that's it. Like there's nothing
Yes.
else going on.
And,
So I
and,
really
and there's a
appreciate
lot of things that influence that, the government, the economy, the state of something that might happen in the country at that time. But again, like you said, you can make a lot of money or you could lose a lot of money. But once you become really good at that and you have a niche within the market, it's very successful, and that's what I'm so proud about. That we learned, and today we run a huge multi-million-dollar company, and it's amazing to see that from somebody that started as an employee, as a police officer, became this amazing person, which he's so good at. And he's so, the pride that he has in himself, the self-confidence, the maturity that he has grown along the way from a small mentorship that it was many, many years ago has transformed his life completely.
Amazing. I love hearing stories about that. Thank you so much for sharing. Edwin, can you please let everyone know how they can learn more about you and how they can reach out to you directly?
Through my website, edwincarrion.com, or follow me on my social media channels at edwincarrion78, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. And don't be afraid to ask. If you have any questions about business, life, relationships, send me a message, ask me questions. I'm very easy to reach out. And like my mentor says, if you don't ask, you don't learn, so become an asshole.
I love it. Becoming an asshole. That is amazing. Thank you so much for joining me and talking about this. I really love nerding out on these subjects, and I really appreciate the work that you do. So thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure being here, and thank you for everybody listening.